And here we are again, geometry, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite tree. Chapter 4-6, Isosceles and Equilateral Triangles. So, what do we got? Isosceles triangle is a triangle with two congruent sides. Now remember that is at least two congruent sides. Those congruent sides are called legs. The angle between those two is called the vertex angle. And the angles formed by the base are called the base angle. So legs are congruent. Between them, that's the vertex angle. And then the base has the two base angles. So here we have two theorems. The isosceles triangle theorem says if two sides of a triangle are congruent, then the opposite angles, so the angle opposite those congruent sides, are also congruent. Now we can take the converse of that, and that is if the angles are congruent, then the sides opposite those angles are congruent. So, looking at this, name two unmarked congruent angles. Since we know that AC and AB are congruent, we know that the angles opposite those are congruent. So that's ACB and ABC. Name two unmarked congruent segments. Since we know angle D and angle C are congruent, we know that the sides opposite those angles are congruent. So AD and AC. For equilateral triangles, a triangle is equilateral only if it is equiangular. So, if every angle is the same measure, and in that case, since there's 180 degrees, if every measure is the same, we divide that by 3, that gives us 60 degrees. So, find the missing measures. We want to find the measure of angle Y. In order to find that, we know that this is 60. This is 8 and 8 right here, so these two are congruent, which means these two angles are congruent. So since these are the same measure, their sum added to 60 gives us 180. And that means their measure together has to be 120. And half of that is 60. Since all three sides are 60 degrees, and we want to find this side, YZ, we know that if all three angles are the same, if it's equiangular, it has to be equilateral. So that means this side is also 8 inches. Find the value of each variable. All right, well, we know that these two sides are congruent, which means we know that this angle is congruent to this angle. So this angle is 2x, which means together these add to 180. So each of those angles has to be 60 degrees, or together 6x is 180. So I can either say 2x is 60 or 6x is 180. So x has to be 30. Now, since every measure is the same, we know that this has to be an equilateral triangle. So 4y minus 5 is equal to 3. Add 5 to each side, we get 4y equals 8, and y equals 2. It's that easy, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to like and subscribe to the Mastermind channel.